Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
It's The In Show, Australia's only show dedicated to innovation from Adelaide, Australia and across the globe.
It's David Grice and Troy Sincock once again talking innovation. You know, it's about those people that came up with the incredible ideas and how they've implemented them.
Even those special ones over a few beers or glasses of wine.
I don't know that that's special. I think most of them happen over glasses of wine, don't they?
And we're really proud this week that we have now become the media partner for Hybrid World Adelaide, which is a 5-day event exploring how the real and digital worlds are intertwined down at Tonsley from the 4th to the 8th of October. And we've even got some tickets to give away.
Yep, next week we'll tell you how. This week on the show, our influencer is Paula Turbill from the Winnovation Award. She's going to tell us about this year's event and some of the other interesting things that she's up to, and it's plenty, I can tell you. She's a very busy lady.
And our innovator this week is Charlie Helen Robinson, who's talking about how she's making fashion better for our ageing population.
Claire swings by with more news and a story especially for those who like sitting in pitch black rooms. Are there many of those people?
I don't know. I don't mind being in a pitch black room when I'm having a sleep.
This innovation is definitely something worth listening for. Now for some inspiration to kick off the show. Here's Nick Condon from Business SA talking about strategies on navigating markets outside of South Australia.
If you're selling a product globally, your customer in one country, in one city, in part of Adelaide, isn't necessarily going to have the same cultural distinctions. They're not necessarily going to do that transaction in the same way. And I think something that we've really found surging a lot at the moment is the Asia market. The whole way that people deal with transactions, with respect, the way that introductions happen, it's totally different. You almost need a translator of culture if you're moving into that global space. And so I think, one, find your opportunities, find your areas, but then research them well. Understand how they operate. And yeah, like I said, you know, the Asian markets are a great example where business in Australia isn't the same as business there, and there's a lot to consider as part of your success. Some of the things that, you know, we can try not to give too many plugs for Business SA here, but this is a really important spot, and we are looking for businesses to grow, to keep jobs here in South Australia. But that probably means that you've got to be selling products overseas. So, we've got migration services, translation services, because everything from a business card. I mean, you think if you get that dialect just wrong, you could go from selling cows to selling cars, and someone has no idea. You know, you think you're doing the right thing, but you haven't checked those due diligence pieces. So that's a big part for it as well. I think also businesses just recognising whether they could actually be an exporter, as an example. You know, being able to go through the process, understand patents, understand licensing. I mean, there's a lot of barriers there, but again, the opportunity is pretty huge as well.
The In Show, in the news with Claire Murphy.
In the US, a team of researchers have invented a nanochip that could help regrow organs and heal injuries with just one touch. The team from Ohio State University believe it could be a breakthrough in healing injuries, organs, or even aging tissue. The way it works is pretty simple. First, the chip is placed onto the skin of a living thing. Then a strong but precise electric field is applied to the top of the device. This allows the device to send genes to the skin cells below it, which change into different cells that can repair tissue. It's a new technique known as tissue nanotransfection. So far, the researchers have only tested it on mice, but the results have been positive. They've revealed the technique was used to create new blood vessels in mice with cut arteries and no blood flow in their legs. They also converted the skin cells of mice into nerve cells, which were inserted into the brains of mice to help them recover from stroke. They're now hoping to develop this technology further before they begin clinical trials on humans next year. The first few houses have been fitted with Tesla's new solar roofs. You may not have heard, but at the end of last year, Elon Musk revealed SolarCity's newest glass solar panel roofs. Now, Tesla owns SolarCity, and the panels have been attached to the homes of Tesla employees, including Elon Musk's. The glass solar roof panels have been designed to look like normal roof tiles, but they're 3 times stronger. They also don't degrade over time. In fact, Elon Musk is so sure of this that he's included a warranty on the glass that lasts either the lifetime of the house or forever. The solar roof is made up of 2 types of tiles, including non-solar and solar. They come in multiple styles, including one that looks like solar panels and another that looks strikingly similar to an ordinary roof tile. The The company hopes the design will make solar panels more attractive to homeowners. Pre-orders for the panels began a few months ago and will be fitted to homes across the US near the end of this year for $21.85. And it's expected they'll be available outside the US in 2018. A dynamic duo is changing the way we watch plays by removing one of the key senses, sight. Writer Glenn Neath and director David Rosenberg from the company Darkfield are producing pitch black theatre. It's a type of entertainment that's devoid of all light. They create plays that are performed in rooms or even shipping containers that are so dark you can't see your hand if you put it to your face. Instead of relying on the sense of sight, they use the power of sound, in particular binaural sound. This is a technique where sound is recorded using 2 microphones instead of 1. Another term for it is 3D sound because it transports the listener into an altered state of consciousness. It makes the listener feel as if they're in the room or environment with the sound maker. Plus, it's so realistic, the sound can appear to be coming from behind, above, below, or next to the listener. It's an intimate and strange effect that can only work on headphones. Wouldn't it be great to try it out? And that's what's in news this week.
Thanks, Claire. Theatre in the dark, David. That sounds like an incredible concept.
It's a bit spooky, I think. It sort of conjures up all sorts of things in my mind. But in a room that you can't even see your hand in front of your face, my goodness me, can you imagine? I've tried listening to soundtracks of movies and so forth without having the screen on my television, and just trying to imagine what the picture might look like just through the audio grabs that you're hearing and the sound and the music and the sound effects and so forth. But live theatre in the dark?
Sounds like a really immersive experience, doesn't it? It would be the kind of thing that would get you in touch with that sense in a way that you don't really experience when you can see the picture in front of you. It'd be pretty full on. I can see how it's really using the mind to paint the picture ultimately, isn't it?
Absolutely. And what about the actors? I mean, do you think they're actually standing there moving and acting out the part that they're playing when they can't see the person across from them?
Someone's going to end up with a blood nose at the end of that, I think.
We should look at the health and safety issues around that one.
It's all about innovation on the In Show. Next, our Innovator of the Week will tell us how she's changing fashion for the ageing population.
Adelaide is starting to be recognised as a smart city, nationally and globally. The City of Churches is rapidly gaining a reputation as the city for innovation. Smart city innovation is becoming a big part of our future. The Adelaide Smart City Studio is supporting people that are creating new smart city products and services for global markets. What we've taken for granted is now being embraced by residents and visitors alike. Station sponsor, Adelaide Smart City Studio, creating opportunities.
It's David Grice and Troy Sincock on The In Show. You can find our full interviews at theinshow.online. In the next 10 minutes, we talk to Paula Turbill about this year's Winnovation Awards.
The In Show Innovator of the Week. Thanks to our sponsor, Adelaide Smart City Studio.
Yes, this is the segment dedicated to discovering the hidden gems in innovation and finding out how they got going. Now, Charlie Helen Robinson has a long history in the healthcare sector, and she started up a new company making fashion better for our ageing population. So, Charlie, what made you start on this journey?
So my mother fell over and broke her back, and we've had a really difficult journey with her. But during that time, I found that she was having trouble getting in and out of her clothes. But she's now a lot better, and she's trying to dress herself. So Age Fitwear was born from a need to provide fitness wear or fitness clothes going off to the gym with mum that she can get in and out of. So each of the articles are specially designed for people that basically have a slight mobility impairment, which is most of our, dare I say it, oldies. Mum herself she's my muse. Love my mum, but she's my muse. She has issues with her shoulders and she has trouble getting things over her head. So some of the items have a wider neck piece. And then when they're over her head, she has difficulty getting her arms into things. So there's wider arms and stuff like that.
Charlie, I get that obviously you work in the environment, so you would have, you'd be aware broadly of all the issues that are facing older Australians.
Yep.
But was there something that really hit home for you, given that it was your mum that's become your muse? Did you see something in her that you hadn't recognised in other people?
From my own personal journey, my mother was a very smart, sophisticated, groovy sort of mum, and to see her decline, and then the only sort of clothes that we could buy for her that she could sort of half get on and put on herself were quite droopy and floppy, was just, that was an emotional challenge for me. And she's been so proud that she can now sort of get some of the clothes on and things like that, because we've taken the time to actually look at what will work for her and what won't work for her. So, the range that I'm coming out with, the age fit wear, will certainly grow that as well. And it's about providing dignity back to somebody who is older.
But also that sense of independence as well.
100%. We're encouraging people to stay at home longer. One of those things that's going to enable somebody to stay at home longer is the fact that they can still dress themselves. They can still get themselves up and put their clothes on, but also go for a walk around the block. So if their carer comes in the morning and gets them dressed, if they do go for a walk around the block and they want to change into something that's more of a leisure wear or a fitness outfit, they can do it themselves and they don't have to rely on the carer all the time to be able to do that for them. The undergarment that I've designed, I did a prototype on Mum a couple of weeks ago, because we are still in crowdfunding startup stage, and as soon as I did all the stuff on her to sort of show her what it was going to be like, she said instantly, "Oh, I feel like I'm standing straighter." So it's that sort of support mechanism as well. It's making her feel better, but it's also giving her the freedom that she can actually put it on and off for herself, which is really, really important, giving her that dignity and independence. The strengths that I want to bring to the range is the fact that you're going to feel good in it. It's going to look good. So, some of the stuff out there is, I won't use the description I usually reserve for not on radio, but it's not the most attractive of clothing out there, which is what they think they should put people in. I want this stuff to make a person feel gorgeous. And in fact, if you look at the logo, I've used the rosemary leaf. And the reason I've used the rosemary or the twig, it tends to be a little bit associated with the aged care industry, because rosemary is Anzac Day and remembrance and all that sort of stuff. But I want them to remember the person they were and that they are gorgeous inside.
So you're in the middle of a crowdfunding campaign.
I am.
Tell us how that's going, what your goals are, and why you went down that path.
Well, it's interesting because I was going to do this project anyway. I've been talking about it for a couple of years, and it got to the point where I went, right, stake in the sand, let's just do this. And then I thought, well, when I do stuff, I always like to teach myself something new. And I'd gone to a possible seminar a couple of years ago to hear about it, and I'd never had the opportunity to actually try it or give it a go. But me being me, I have to try these things. Anything social media, I have to try it. So I thought, let's put it up onto Possible and have a go. And I put $500 up there as my goal to reach. I should have put 3,000. But I've tripled my original goal, which I was so excited about. And to me, it indicated also that there was that 100% commitment from a broader community audience as well, that they thought this was a good thing to do. And it's generated a lot of conversation for interstate as well as internationally. I've had people in the UK write to me and let me know that, they have textiles in research labs at the moment that can help heal wounds.
Wow.
Would you like to use this fabric for your clothing range? And I'm like, yes. That might be phase 2, but, there's been a lot of possibility that's been opened up from it. So,
what sort of help did you seek throughout this process, or did you really go into it, thinking I'm taking this on solo?
Well, I did initially. Well, if we go back a couple of years when I first raised it, the excitement and the enthusiasm in the aged care industry was really not there. It's definitely an industry that's taken a huge curve, almost a 180. Aged care is now the new black. Everybody wants to, use a 70-year-old on a groovy bike or whatever. Look, Macklemore's even got his 100-year-old grandmother in his latest film clip. So, when you look at that sort of stuff, aged care is obviously trendy at the moment to talk about it, to be in it, to be doing stuff for it. Our state does have one of the oldest populations. It's a very cool audience to actually try and do stuff for. Everybody has a grandmother. But, it's certainly the conversation and the popularity of the topic has changed. And I've noticed that over the last couple of years. So it's been a lot easier to sell the concept and the idea because everybody is looking for a way to actually do better in that space. So this is a solution to help fix people's dignity, their self-esteem and their spirit in that community. And I've been really proud and blessed, I guess, that it's me that's initiated. I'm pretty happy about it.
And presumably you're doing male and female. Obviously you've designed for your mum, but...
My muse is my mother, and as much as I'd love to get her in the fellas wear, I don't think I will. But it's definitely, at this point in time, we're doing an undergarment, a T-shirt, tracky pants and a top over like a jacket type thing. And then for the guys, there'll be tracksuit pants and a T-shirt. And
what's your hope from here? Like to obviously you launch in October, and are you looking to a global market?
Oh, I think anybody who goes into something like this would hope that, it's going to grow to a sizable scale. And, the world is our oyster, really. I don't see being based in South Australia as a blockage to being able to reach a global audience. I've certainly got interest from a global perspective and also from a national. So, and, the web is there to be able to sell from. So I don't see that as a barrier at all. This is a product that I have researched that is not available anywhere else in the world. So I consider some of the items that I have in the range as being unique and niche. And that niche generally, once people find out about it, pick up and take off. So that would be a fantastic dream to be able to live.
Small steps.
Yeah, small steps, chunks at a time.
Yeah.
Well, Charlie from Age Fitwear, thanks so much for joining us on The In Show.
Thank you so much for having me.
The In Show, it's all about innovation. We'll hear from our influencer next and find out what's in store at this year's Women in Innovation Awards.
The In Show with this week's influencer.
This segment's all about those influential minds disrupting industries and spearheading innovation. Now, Paula Turbill is an accomplished executive who's worked in both the for-profit and not-for-profit sectors. Paula's currently a director of Frontier Health Limited and joins us today to speak about the Winnovation Awards. So, Paula, what's it all about?
Well, Women in Innovation is a not-for-profit organisation run by an amazing group of volunteers. And really our purpose is to elevate, inspire, connect and educate innovative women in South Australia. At the moment, we're running our premier event each year, which are called the Winnovation Awards, which you just touched on. So the Winnovation Awards started back in 2014. And the awards recognise and encourage innovative South Australian women across a range of different fields and interests. So this year, we're looking at recognising women across a number of different categories. So we have the science category, technology, engineering, arts, maths and data, the open category.
What's the open category?
So the open category is looking for any woman who is doing something innovative, which doesn't necessarily fit into the other sort of STEAM or STEM categories. So originally when the Winnovation Awards started, we were very much focused on STEM, which is science, technology, engineering and maths. But due to the interest and the breadth of experience that we've seen, particularly in innovative women in South Australia, we've broadened out the number of categories. So now we've got 11 categories. This year as well, we've introduced a new category for social impact. So we've seen lots of women doing amazing things, bringing social impact innovations into the not-for-profit sector or into disability services or into aged care, things like that. So.
Do you think that, isn't it interesting that we have a category specifically for women? I understand why we do, and, there's a lot to be celebrated in that area that perhaps, historically we haven't. So the fact that, mechanisms like this exist is absolutely magnificent.
Yes.
Do you reckon we're going to find a time when it, the women aren't put aside as a separate thing?
I think it's an interesting question because I think there are continual ongoing challenges and barriers for women to get exposure and attract the same level of interest, I think. And so there is still a strong gender bias. And even if we look at, the women that apply for these awards, the finalists and the winners that we've had are just doing some incredible things. But still, it's often to women's detriment in that they don't believe that they can take that step forward and put themselves up and think that they're doing work that is worthy of being recognised. So I think it's still really important that we have organisations like Women in Innovation and the Winnovation Awards to elevate and showcase and engage with these women and highlight their areas of success.
What types of things are we seeing? Like in previous years, for example, what are the sorts of innovations that are being presented?
Last year, one of our winners in the rural category, Professor Bronwyn Galanders, she's a finalist in this year's South Australian Scientist of the Year Awards. So the work that she had done, she led a multidisciplinary team to develop tools to understand the cumulative impacts of development on South Australia's Spencer Gulf. So Professor Galanders and her team designed tools and data to assist with development approvals to make sure that those approvals would not only unlock the wealth from the Spencer Gulf, but also make sure that the impact on the environment was minimalised and those environmental assets were protected.
Do you find, obviously, awards shows are what they are. I mean, it's magnificent to recognise people, as we've spoken about previously. But do you find with all the applications and seeing the enormity of the good work that's happening around us, it must give you such a great feeling seeing what is going on more broadly around you?
So looking at the breadth of experience that women have in South Australia, looking at different areas, one of our finalists from last year, Professor Alison Cowan, she has developed a patented antibody therapy for the treatment of skin cancers. So we have women that are working innovatively in South Australia, whether that be from a science background, from a technology background, looking at rural and regional and remote areas. There's a complete gamut of skills and expertise that women in South Australia are doing and innovating in at the moment.
Obviously, we live in a society that's pretty humble. As Australians, we don't really grow up, being the type of society that tells people about our achievements. So, do you find that it's difficult for people to, talk about their successes and what they've achieved? If there's one thing we've seen on the in-show through speaking to the people over the many weeks we've now been doing this is there are some groundbreaking things happening, and the only reason the rest of the world doesn't necessarily know about it is because no one's telling the story, which is why this show exists.
Yeah. I think women in particular have that hesitation in putting themselves forward and taking that next step. But once they are awarded that opportunity, then they are confident in telling everyone else in South Australia about the work that they've done and the achievements that they've made. So I guess it's just making sure that we have platforms available for women and other people that you've interviewed through your show to have access to that ability to explain their stories and share those with the wider audience. So it's another key area for the Winnovation Awards is that it is a platform that enables women to do that.
Fantastic.
And it's not necessarily, reserved for the university professors or doctors or anything like that, is it? It's for basically anyone.
It is for anyone. So even though the examples that I have given are for women who have come from a university background and are still in universities, we have had other winners who are just ordinary people, just like you or I, just doing amazingly innovative work. One of our other winners last year was Gemma Munro, who started Inkling Women, which is looking at providing training and educational tools to young women to help them progress through their career and make sure that they're continuing to advance. Women are doing amazing things in lots of different areas.
Speaking of amazing things, Winnovation Awards is not your real day job, is it?
No.
Tell us about what you do.
About 3 years ago, I started a company called Frontier Health Australia, and I work with Australian manufacturers of skincare products and also some food products now and help them export into Asia in particular.
And you were sharing with me a little bit about a company that you were introduced to that was on Shark Tank a few years ago and have now sort of got their investment and
yeah, that's right. So it's a company working out of Brisbane. They have developed a drink which is basically the opposite to Red Bull. It's called Koala Calmer. So it's a calming drink that you can take if you're maybe nervous of flying and you need something to calm the nerves before you get on a plane. Or at night time if you're wanting to relax and chill before bedtime, then this is a fantastic drink. So, yes, I've started working with them to sell their product into Asia. We've just had some product go into Hong Kong. There was quite a large expo in Hong Kong on the weekend, and our distributor had the products displayed at the expo. And one of the other brands that they have also developed is a food brand, which is a powdered food product called Movella Superfoods, and it's for children. So they have a number of different products in their range, one to boost children's immunity, one to boost their brain capacity or their intelligence, one which is basically a highly concentrated vegetable mix. So often children, when they're younger, don't really enjoy eating their vegetables. So this is a great way to either include it in a drink. You can mix it in orange juice, milk or water, or you can include it in your food. And that gives sort of younger children, sort of maybe 18 months to 3 or 4 years old, that vegetable boost that they might need to include in their diet. And there is another product for immunity as well, so to boost children's immunity.
Paula, how do you do it? I mean, for some people it would be enough just to be involved in the Winnovation Awards, and now we find out you're doing all this other great stuff. And how do you fit it all in, and why are you so passionate about it? We tend to discover that people that are working in the sort of entrepreneurial sort of startup space so willing to give of themselves to the benefit of others. Do you see yourself sort of part of a wider community?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I have. So I'm not only involved through my volunteering work with Women in Innovation, but also on the Children's School Foundation Board, and have recently just started to try to do some social media work for my daughter's ballet group. She dances with the South Australian Children's Ballet Company, so I've tried to do some fundraising and social media activity for them as well. So it gives me great pleasure to work with these organisations and help them grow and develop and try to provide some of my expertise. I'm not shy of picking up the phone and asking people for things, which a lot of people don't like to do. So, I have that capacity and that ability to do that. I'm not afraid if I get rejected, I guess. But I've found more often than not, if you have the courage to ask the question and to engage in a conversation, you're more likely to have a positive outcome. So, it's been quite successful so far. So
what is your driving force? Is it just to be a contribution to others, or...?
Yeah, I think to set an example for my children and to know that you can contribute in whatever way you feel possible to the community, and to not only just work for the benefit of yourself, but to work for the benefit of others as well, and to utilise your skills as broadly as you possibly can.
Yeah, we certainly need more people like you in our society, and I think Adelaide unfortunately has a mentality of just staying very insular, and to have people like yourself that are doing such amazing things to help other people is just an absolutely inspirational thing.
Yeah, thank you.
It's all about innovation on the In Show, and if you've got a networking event, a meetup or an info session you're planning, let us know all about it at theinshow.online.
Next week on The In Show.
Earlier we announced that we're the media partner for the Hybrid World Adelaide Conference, which is a 5-day event exploring the real and the digital worlds and how they're intertwined down at Tonsley in October. And we've got the opportunity for you to win some tickets.
Yep, we'll let you know all about it next week on the show, and catch up with Sam Davies from Digital Noir, who'll be telling us about how he's built his team and his experience on Shark Tank.
And as usual, Claire will be bringing us all those interesting and sometimes unusual stories from around the world and highlighting some of the events coming up.
And make sure you check out theinshow.online, listen to the podcast. You can find out more about this week's guests, share an innovation you're working on, and follow us on Facebook and Twitter.
And that just about wraps up another great show again this week. We'll catch you next Monday for some more innovation on The In Show.
Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to AuscastNetwork.com for details.